Okay, then predicting the Denver Broncos record prediction. So the Broncos definitely don't have the most talented roster. They shed a lot of pieces in free agency, like Justin Simmons. However, the Broncos do have some decent pieces. Their offensive line doesn't look that bad with Bowles, Mearners. Um, their weapons have potential. They have Javante and Sutton. Um, and Sean Payton is there, and he usually schemes a very good offense. I am still worried about their defense. Other than like Sertain, Singleton, John Franklin Myers, they don't really have anybody, and I can't expect the Broncos to do that good on defense. So your first game versus the Seahawks. Seahawks is a way more experienced team, even with the brand new coach. Um, Seahawks they have just way more talent on offense. Broncos have a lot of new guys, so I'm taking the Seahawks here. Week 2 versus the Steelers. This game just isn't one that the Steelers will lose. I don't see it. Tomlin's a very good coach. They have a very good defense. Um, I just don't see. I don't see the Steelers losing this game, even with the Broncos home field advantage. So I'm taking the Steelers here. Okay, then you have Week 3 versus the Buccaneers. Buccaneers. I think they're all similar to like the Steelers. They're an established team. I think the Buccaneers offense will give the Broncos defense a lot of trouble. And even though I don't really trust that Bucks defense, Bucks with home field advantage, I think will get the win here. Week 4 versus the Jets. I think this one could be an upset watch for the Jets. Jets have a really talented team, but they don't have the most like chemistry. However, I think that talent with home field advantage will be enough to beat the Broncos. That Jets defense is really good and will cause problems for Bo Nix. So I'm gonna take the Jets here. Then you have Week 5 versus the Raiders. Raiders for some reason usually dominate the Broncos, and Raiders also have a really good defense that will cause trouble for Bo Nix. And even though I don't really trust the Raiders offense, I do think Gardner Minshew can go off versus that Broncos defense, so I'm taking the Raiders here. And then in the opposite spectrum, for some reason the Broncos usually dominate the Chargers. Chargers are coming off a bye, but Broncos have home field advantage. Chargers, I can't trust their offense. It's too early in the season, and I don't trust that. I don't like the Chargers defense, and I think Sean Payne will be able to scheme well versus that Chargers defense. So I'm taking the Broncos here in their first win. Then you have Week 7 versus the Saints, not a huge fan of the Saints, but they have big home field advantage on a very short week. The Saints have a good defense, a good head coach on the defensive end, and I think that will be enough. So I'll take the Saints here. Then you have them versus the Panthers. Both these teams are rebuilding. They might look very different in Week 8, but I'm still taking the Broncos with home field advantage. They have the better coach. I'm going to take the Broncos here. Week 9 versus the Ravens. I don't see the Broncos having much of a chance versus the Ravens. Ravens are an experienced team. Lamar Jackson is going to cause problems, and that Ravens defense is still very good, so I'm taking the Ravens here. Then you have Week 10 versus the Chiefs. That could be an upset watch. The Broncos did upset the Chiefs last year, but I don't see that. The Chiefs improved their offense. Their defense should be pretty similar to last year. I'm taking the Chiefs here. Then you have Week 11 versus the Falcons. Talent-wise, the Falcons should easily take this. However, Falcons to me are like a fraudulent kind of team and can easily fall to a team like the Broncos, especially Broncos. Offense can give that Falcons some trouble, so I'm taking the Broncos here. Okay, then you have Week 12 versus the Raiders. Like I said earlier, for some reason the Raiders played the Broncos really, really well. I think the Raiders defense, like I said, will give Bo Nix trouble. So I'm going to take the Raiders, especially with home field advantage. Okay, then you have them versus the Browns. Browns, they don't really travel that well, but their team is just significantly more talented. Their defense should cause problems. The pass rush, I think, will be too much for Bo Nix, and that Browns offense. At this point, I think Nick Chubb may be healthy, but regardless, Jerry Judy's revenge game, Amari Cooper. I gotta take the Browns here. In Week 15 versus the Colts, they're both coming off a bye. I just trust the Colts more. They have more star power. Even with the Broncos' home field advantage, Anthony Richardson, with his dual threat ability, will give the Broncos defense some trouble. I gotta take the Colts here. Week 16 versus the Chargers. Like I said earlier, Chargers is kind of an unknown of a team, but the Broncos usually play them very well. I think the Broncos are going to sweep the Chargers. I'm going to take the Broncos here. Then you have them versus the Bengals. Um, I gotta take the Bengals here. They're probably looking for an AFC like title or to win the AFC North. Their team offense is really good, especially coming off a mini bye. I gotta take the Bengals here. Week 18 versus the Chiefs. The Chiefs may or may not need this game. I'm not too sure, but I'm not gonna predict that. But regardless, the Chiefs should sweep the Broncos. I'm gonna take the Chiefs here. So in the end, I have the Broncos going 4-13, 2-4 in the division, 3-5 at home, and 1-8 away.